Yeah. So anyway, it all depends on what attitude we take it with, right? So I feel like that's the same thing for the Christmas season. All depends on what attitude we go into it with and we take it with. So I thought that since it's now December, I would talk about keeping the first things first. And I think I've given a message titled the exact same thing, like at New Year's. So maybe it should be called First Things to the End or something. But anyway, subtitle of the message is Keeping Priorities Straight Through the End of the Year. Keeping the first things first all the time through the end. Before I get into it though, Mike and I would just really like to appreciate all of you and the council. I know our council organized a gift to our family a couple weeks ago, and we just really appreciate everybody's generosity and people who were able to give. We really felt like the love and how our community wants to take care of us, and we feel really humbled by that. So thank you all. Commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will be established. So we are entering the most wonderful time of the year, also the most crazy time of the year. I think, especially if you have children, this month is just crazy. Christmas preparations reach a fever pitch. There's events, there's parties, there's Christmas presents to plan and to buy and to wrap. There's travel plans to be made. If you send Christmas cards, there's the whole process of getting people to take a picture, making sure your kids' clothes match and their hair is cut, and then you have to print all the cards, and you have to get all the addresses, and you have to go and buy more stamps because you ran out of stamps, and it just doesn't seem to end. All the stuff leading up to Christmas. Christmas is coming. But we've also entered the last month of the year. Isn't it hard to believe that it's almost 2024? It still feels like we just began the year in a lot of ways. So I thought it would be a good time to pause, before you tumble into Christmas mania, to reflect on what was it that I set out to accomplish at the beginning of this year, before the year is over. And in 1 month, it'll be the time to, set your new goals and reflect on the last year. But at that time, it's too late to do anything about last year's goals. All you have left to do is make new goals. But we still have a whole month, 1/12 of the year, to make progress, to take a step forward, to be victorious in the goals that you set at the beginning of the year. So I think it's important to, before we rush through the end, to take this time to reflect, pause, remind ourselves what's really important, and keep the first things first. So I chose this quote, "Commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will be established." Because I think whatever your goals were at the beginning of this year, I'm sure everybody had something a little bit different, but I'm sure that somewhere in there, your goals related to God, or God's purpose for you, God's plans for you and your family. And when we commit our work to the Lord, when our goals are connected to God's goals, when our goals are connected to my purpose, then there's a way for them to be established. And I also chose this quote And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. And I think that sometimes by December we might be feeling a little bit weary. It's been a long year. A lot of things have happened. Some people may not be with us that we started the year with. Some things that we had hoped would happen may not have panned out, at least not the way that we wanted them to. And so sometimes it can feel like, well, if things were going my way, it would be easier to keep going. It'd be easier to not be weary of doing good. But sometimes there's obstacles, and sometimes things, we feel like we've stepped backwards throughout the year. And that's when we can get weary. That's when it feels like, maybe I'll just try again next year. But I think it's important to remember that if we give up before the finish line, we never get a prize for not crossing the finish line, right? Maybe we don't win first place, but we have an accomplishment to share. I just thought of this video that I've shared with our school a few times. It's in the Olympics in like 1987 or something. It was the Summer Olympics in Los Angeles, California, and it was like 98 degrees outside, and the runners are running their marathon. The ladies are running their marathon. And the most memorable moment of that Olympics for many people was this lady who was from Sweden or something, some European lady, and she came in dead last in this marathon because she was not prepared for the heat of this California weather. And after hours, everybody else is finished, and it's like an hour later, and she comes stumbling into the auditorium towards the finish line, and she can't even walk in a straight line anymore, and people are going up to her to help her, and she's like, no, I have to finish it myself. And it's like minutes of agonizing time passing to watch her stumble towards the finish line. But then she crosses it, and the whole stadium just like erupts into cheers, and everybody's on their feet and yelling and jumping up and down because she accomplished what she set out to accomplish. It probably wasn't the way she envisioned it happening. She didn't win a medal, but she didn't give up. So maybe that's how you feel this year. But let's not grow weary of doing good. For in due season, we will reap. Maybe not today. Maybe not on January 1st. But if we don't give up in our goals and we keep watering our seeds, keep planting the seeds, keep watering the seeds, keep taking care of our purpose, right? Keep taking care of this holy temple that God gave me and the purpose that God has infused into it, then there will be a harvest if we do not give up. So I think, as I mentioned, whatever your goals were for this year, there must be I'm sure that there's some way where it connects to God and family and our purpose. And this time of year, in this Christmas season, is a great time to develop our relationship with God and our family. Right? This is a time of year when we think about all the people we love, whether we've seen them in a long time or not. I know for me, sending Christmas cards is like this love-hate experience every year because I hate the process. I hate the process of trying to get everybody together to take a picture. It never goes the way I want it to. There's so many steps involved. But also, it's a time of year for me to think about who are the people in my life that I love, that I've had deep experiences with, that I want to wish well. Even if I haven't seen them in 10 years or 15 years, there are people that I want them to know that I love them. And I can make the effort. I can take the picture and I can buy the stamps and I can make that effort to get these people a card to show them I remember them and I care about them. And I can invest into that relationship, even in that small way. It's also the time of year where we set aside time. Maybe we take off work, or there's a Christmas break, and we spend quality time with the people that we love. This is an opportunity not just to pass time, but to invest time into people that we love. And when it comes to our relationship with God, what better time of year to remember how much God loves us by reflecting on when God sent Jesus for humanity. As a reminder, right? That's like a reminder to us just how much God is committed to saving each one of us. God is committed to us not only not perishing, right? Not going to hell, but actually God is committed to us finding our purpose and living in our potential. When I think about Christmas and I think about Jesus, I feel like that's always the point it comes back to for me. God sent Jesus to awaken us to who we really are. Not as servants, not as minions on the earth, but as God's children. This is a quote from our founder, Reverend Moon. Once you have decided to do something, you have to have the courage to fight to accomplish your goal, no matter what kind of difficulties lie ahead. You should have the courage to digest all obstacles, rather than to merely dislike them. And I really love that last part, because I think it's very easy to dislike the obstacles that come up in our way. Or if we think about the year and there's things we don't like, it's just very easy to be frustrated, like, oh, if that hadn't happened, if my car hadn't broke down, if I hadn't lost my job, if only my daughter would have listened to my advice, right? It's very easy to be like, to dislike these moments or the obstacles that come up in our way. But when we focus on what we dislike or what we're resentful about, what we wish didn't happen, then we kind of get stuck with them, don't we? It's like we can't really move forward when I'm still focusing on this thing that happened. It's like I'm trying to move, but I can't stop looking at it. And then I'm like walking backwards because I'm still looking at the thing that irritated me. Or else I just pick it up and put it on my shoulder. I can't forget you, how upset I am about you, so I'm going to carry you along with me. But when we can digest obstacles, right? When we can experience something, maybe not ideal, but we can accept it. Okay, this is what's happening. Or yes, this happened. And this is how I dealt with it. Or this is how I'm going to deal with it. And when I've done everything I can do about it, I'm going to tie it up, put the bow on it, complete it, and leave it there. and then we're free to keep moving. So what were your goals at the beginning of this year? What obstacles did you face on that path? Did you leave them on the side of the road after you digested them and took care of them? Or are some of you putting them in a bag and carrying it along to the end of the year? If you are, that's why I'm talking about this today, because we still have a month. We can still put it down. We can still take care of it. We can still digest it. We can end the year victoriously without the baggage. I don't know what your goals were. For us, Mike and I think our goals are always related to God and family. Mike had very clear and specific and practical goals. He outlined them before the beginning of the year. He's like, this year, we need a new parsonage so we can expand our YAMI, our Young Adult Mentorship Initiative, and move them into the old parsonage. And then we have more space in our family, in our fourplex for new families. And that will be healthy for our family. It will help build the community. With the YAMI, they can help take care of our youth. And with more families all living in one area, then it will build community. And will create a better environment for the whole church. I was like, wow, okay, I guess. Here we are, it all happened. It's very impressive. My goals were much more vague. To be honest, at the beginning of this year, I was feeling really overwhelmed by a lot of things, in particular school. And I was just like, I just need to get to the end of the school year. I just need to survive and not crumble under pressure, and that'll be pretty good for me. And in there, I did know that I wanted to improve, continue to grow and develop my relationship with my husband, with my children. That was like, if I had to summarize my goal for the year, was not to just survive the year, not to just make it through. I wanted to grow and develop something in my relationships with my family and with others. For my kids, I really feel like this was important for me this year because they are not the same people they were last year. They've all grown so much. My boys, if I look at photos from a year ago, they looked much more baby-like then, and now they really look like they're 16 or 17, even though they're only 14. They're taller than me. Their voices dropped. They actually have some muscles now. They're still so skinny, but they have some muscles now. They've had this like little baby mustache for a couple years, but then just last week, we're like, you guys actually need to start shaving that now. Like, actually. It's happening. And then Mia has also gone from what feels like an elementary girl to a teenager in the past year. And then Annalise is really not, she's still the baby of the family, but she's almost, I feel like they've all just entered teenagehood in 1 year. And I really feel like I have less and less control over them, over what they say. I apologize for anything Annalise has said to any of you over the last year. I can't control it. I have less and less control over what they say, what they do, how they spend their free time, who they want to spend their time with. It's really been a process of, like, they're all coming into independence, and I really feel like for this year, my way of developing my relationship with them has actually been to step back some, learning how to let go, encouraging them to make good choices, but letting them choose and then deal with the consequences one way or another. And also to really ask them for their input and to involve them in the choices that we make as a family. And in a way, it's stepping back, but in a way, it's like inviting them into my life more, inviting them into adulthood, inviting them to really become owners of their life. And so that's been, I think, my victory for the year in that area. But even with Mike, my husband, this December 26th will be our 19-year anniversary. And so we've been together for almost 19 years. Well, thank you. And you'd think that after 19 years, we just have our way of being with each other or have things figured out. But even after 19 years, we're still developing, or we're still expanding our relationship, still going deeper in our relationship. And part of that process is sometimes not getting along. We had a few rocky moments over the year. But we did the marriage course. Thank you to Gilo and Casio for hosting. It's really lovely. And we had a lot of really heart-opening conversations too, where we had to really ask each other, what do you really need from me? Or what do you really want? And how do we keep moving forward and not just get stagnant? So in these ways, I do feel there's been a lot of growth this year for myself and my vague goals. And I did survive the last school year, and this year has been a lot smoother. It's been actually really beautiful and really fun. So I'm excited to make more specific goals for 2024. But I have one more quote I want to share with you. If you follow the way of the original mind, the universe will show one way to you. That is faster and more powerful than a bullet. This is something you should have. If you go that way, when you reach that level, you can speak with your own mind. As soon as you think about what to do, the answer will immediately appear. And I feel like this is worded, like the translation's a little not simple, but it's talking about if we can really connect with our original mind. And when we talk about original mind, we're talking about the part of us that God infused into humanity from the very beginning, that God created his children with. The part of ourself that directly resembles God, that's not tainted by the fall, that's not tainted by selfishness. That just, if we can find that part of ourselves, it's like a tuning fork with God. I think we know when we've discovered our original mind because there's nothing selfish there. And it's almost like when I touch that part of myself, I touch God. So when we can find that part of ourselves, the universe shows us the way. It's almost like our purpose opens up in front of us, and it was always there. When we can reach that level, then True Father has often said, your conscience is even closer than God. Or it's another way of saying God is already within you. We don't have to pray and seek. Answers and purpose are already inside of us. As soon as you can think about what to do, the answer will immediately appear. So I think this is beautiful advice for when we want to make a new goal, when we start 2024. But it's also really good advice as we try to finish the year. Because it actually doesn't take a lot of time to make significant progress in a goal. A lot of times, taking the first step is the hardest. So if you haven't taken a step yet in your goal for 2023, that's okay. There's actually 29 more days to do that, 28. And especially if your goal has anything to do with relationships, I've discovered that when we make a sincere effort in a relationship, whether it's an apology we need to make, or forgiveness we need to ask, forgiveness we need to extend, that even one conversation can change the trajectory of a whole relationship and can heal years of heartache. So if your goal had anything to do with relationships for this year, I would encourage you, take this special time of year, set aside the time, even just for one loving and honest conversation. And if your goal had anything to do with your relationship with God this year, set aside the time to ask for God's guidance, or to maybe just be receptive to what your original mind wants to tell you. My hope for everyone this year is that whether or not you attain the level that you were looking for when you set your goals at the beginning of the year, that whatever it was, we're at least one step further in our goal than we were at the beginning of the year. Like the lady in the marathon, right? Even if you didn't win first place, even if you didn't achieve the whole weight loss goal that you were hoping for. But as long as we don't just sit down and say, I can't do it, then God is cheering us on, like all those people in that stadium. Even if he sees we're the last one stumbling across the finish line, I feel like God is like that, right? God is cheering us on, and God is wishing the best for us. And even though we might feel ashamed, I didn't do everything I wanted to do, God sees our heart, and God sees our effort. And if God sees that we're still trying on the last day of the year to make progress towards our goal, then when we stumble across that finish line, God's gonna erupt in cheers and in tears and happiness that we kept going and we didn't give up. So that is my message for today. I'm excited to share this month with you as we go into Advent and we really reflect on God's love for us and the purpose of Jesus' coming. And I think wrapped inside of that is our own purpose. What is our purpose in being here? It's a beautiful time of year. And I hope that you can continue to come on Sundays. I know it's a busy time of year, but I hope you can come each Sunday, because I feel like it really connects us to each other and to God and our purpose when we really need that grounding in such a crazy time of year. So please join me in prayer and finish up with me. Heavenly Parent, we thank you for this beautiful Sunday morning. Thank you so much for each person who was able to come today despite the cold and the snow and the bad weather. We come because we are seeking you in our life, and sometimes the way is difficult, and sometimes the path isn't always clear for us. But I truly believe that as long as we never give up in seeking for your guidance and walking towards our purpose, that we will be victorious. It's only by feeling defeated and giving up that we really ever lose, Heavenly Parent. Thank you for continuing to walk with us and encourage us, even if we need to pause and take a break, even if we need to sit down and shed a few tears for a little while. We still want to get up and take another step and really believe that your blessings and your beauty is waiting for us as we continue. As we finish up this year of 2023, I pray that we can take some time, even in this busy season, to reflect on the ways that you have worked in our life throughout this year and the ways that we have been blessed by you. We can reflect on the efforts that we have made and see the fruits of all the good things that we have done, and we can also acknowledge that there have been times when we could have made a better choice or things have been difficult. But that even so, we will accept those things. We will digest those things, and we'll keep moving forward. Because that is how you have lived your life throughout all of history. There have been many beautiful moments, and there have been many, many challenging and difficult things that didn't work out the way you wanted to. There have been prophets that have been sacrificed. There have been central figures and historical figures of the Bible who couldn't complete their offerings. But you have digested all of those things and kept moving forward. Because of your love and steadfastness, then we have an example and we have a path we can follow. Thank you so much for guiding us up to this point. I pray that we can really celebrate the end of this year and Jesus is coming together with you and all of our brothers and sisters, and have a wonderful beginning to our next year. I offer this prayer in my name, Michael Adonia Hedrick, a blessed family. Amen and adieu. Okay, thank you, everybody.